Most men think they can spot a promiscuous woman a mile away. The outfits, the attitude, the obvious red flags. But the truth is colder. The women who hurt you the most rarely look like the danger you expect. They look sweet, soft, safe. And that's exactly why they slip past your defenses. But everything changes once you understand the psychology behind their patterns. Because underneath the charm are behaviors that predict instability, impulsivity, and emotional chaos with painful accuracy. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll mistake dysfunction for connection. So let's cut through the illusion. By the end of this video, you'll know 9 powerful signs that reveal exactly who you're dealing with, long before she breaks your trust. You've trusted the wrong woman before, not because you were naive, but because you were hopeful. You ignored small inconsistencies, believed her stories, dismissed your own intuition, and paid the price with time, energy, and self-respect. Men don't fall because they're weak. They fall because they want to believe someone is who they pretend to be. This video gives you the clarity you never had when it mattered most. If you value guidance that protects your heart and your future, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Now let's break down the first pattern every man overlooks long before the damage begins. Number 1. She blames every past mistake on someone else. A woman's past doesn't expose her flaws as much as it exposes her patterns. And when a woman talks about her history but removes herself from every moment of accountability, you're not listening to a memory. You're listening to a warning. Because a woman who refuses to own her choices isn't afraid of being wrong. She's only afraid of being caught. You'll hear it in the way she tells the story. He was crazy. He didn't appreciate me. He pushed me to cheat. There is always a villain, and it is never her. The dangerous part isn't the cheating itself. People make mistakes. The danger is when the mistake becomes a strategy, a tool she uses to shift the blame away from herself so she can protect the image she wants you to see. A woman who avoids responsibility chooses excitement over stability, impulse over integrity, and escape over honesty. She lives in a world where consequences don't apply to her because she's always one explanation, one excuse, one emotional performance away from rewriting the truth. To her, the past is elastic. It bends to whatever narrative keeps her desirable, innocent, and unaccountable. Listen closely. Not to the drama, but to the pattern. If she can retell every betrayal as something done to her, you need to understand what that means for you. One day, you won't be the man she trusted. You'll be the man she blames. And here's the truth bomb. If she can rewrite the past that easily, she can rewrite the present too. When a woman refuses to own her history, she won't protect your future. Number 2, she has a history of one-night stands or impulsive connections. A woman's relationship history is never random. It's a map of how she copes, how she self-soothes, and how she avoids herself. When she's had a long trail of one-night stands, short-lived flings, or it just happened encounters, it tells you something deeper than her sexual preferences. It reveals her relationship with novelty and with emotional depth. A pattern of impulsive intimacy isn't about desire, it's about escape. It's about chasing the next dopamine spike to drown out boredom, loneliness, insecurity, or responsibility. This type of woman bonds fast because bonding slowly requires vulnerability, something she doesn't want to feel, something she doesn't know how to build. I've seen countless men fall into the same trap. A woman with this history looks at them with interest and they think, she chose me because I'm different. No. She chose you because you were available at the exact moment she needed a distraction. And the faster she attaches, the faster she detaches. Because the attachment was never about connection. It was about the high. Pay attention to how she talks about her past. Does she laugh about those nights? Does she brag about being wild back then? Does she gloss over the details as if they were nothing? Or does she shift uncomfortably when the topic comes up? Both extremes tell you the same story. She hasn't resolved anything. She hasn't grown past it. She's just packaged it differently. And here's the truth bomb. If her past is a blur of faces, don't assume you'll be the one she remembers. A woman who treats intimacy like an impulse won't treat you like a commitment. Number 3. She's not selective with men and moves through short-term cycles. A woman who chooses slowly usually loves deeply. A woman who chooses quickly usually loves temporarily. When she jumps from man to man with barely a breath in between, you're not watching romance. You're watching emotional instability disguised as freedom. She doesn't choose men based on compatibility, integrity, or shared values. She chooses based on the rush, the chemical hit, the feeling of being wanted again. And as soon as that rush fades, as soon as the relationship requires consistency instead of excitement, she disappears. Not because you failed her, but because stability bores her. This type of woman uses connection the way some people use caffeine, to feel awake, validated, alive for a moment. Then she replaces it when the effect wears off. She doesn't understand emotional investment because she's never stayed long enough to build any. And for men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, men who finally want peace over chaos, she becomes especially dangerous. You become the stabilizer, the man she leans on until she's strong enough to leap toward the next thrill. You'll see the pattern in her stories. Relationships that lasted weeks, maybe months. Breakups that just happened. A string of almosts, nearlies, and situationships with no real roots. Everything is short, sudden, and intensely temporary, because commitment requires patience, and patience requires maturity. Don't ignore this. A woman who treats relationships like seasons will treat you like weather, something to enjoy when it feels good and abandon when it changes. Truth bomb. If she chooses quickly, she leaves quickly. And when leaving feels as easy as entering, you're not building a future, you're filling a moment. Number 4. She dives into sexual conversations too early and too intensely. When a woman brings intimacy into the conversation before she brings emotional transparency, she's not opening up, she's distracting you. Early sexual talk isn't just boldness, it's strategy. It rushes the connection, fogs your instincts, and makes you feel chosen before she's even taken the time to know who you are. This isn't about healthy flirting. Flirting is light, playful, a way to build attraction. What she's doing is different. It's targeted. It's accelerated. It's designed to bypass the slow unfolding of trust and skip straight to emotional closeness without earning it. She knows exactly how men respond to this kind of intensity, especially men who've gone too long without feeling genuinely desired. Picture this. You're sitting across from her, and suddenly the conversation shifts. She leans in, lowers her voice, mentions fantasies, past experiences, things she usually doesn't talk about. You think she's letting you in. But the truth is harsher. This isn't vulnerability, it's rehearsal. She has said these things before, and she knows how quickly this kind of talk pulls a man into believing there's something special forming. Sexual pacing is one of the most effective tools for emotional manipulation. When intimacy comes too soon, it blinds you to the inconsistencies you would normally question. You stop evaluating compatibility and start chasing connection. And that's exactly the point. Ask yourself, if a woman uses intensity as the entry point, what will she use as the exit? Here's the truth bomb. When intimacy comes before compatibility, someone is hiding something. And a woman who hides behind sexual intensity is rarely ready for emotional honesty. Number 5. She sleeps with you immediately, blurring intimacy with connection. There's nothing immoral about two adults acting on chemistry, but you're not here to judge a moment. You're here to understand a pattern. And when a woman makes intimacy instant, automatic, almost reflexive, you need to pay attention to what that reveals. quick intimacy isn't always about desire. More often, it's about impulse, projection, and the need to feel something fast enough to drown out everything she doesn't want to face. A woman who repeatedly jumps in too quickly isn't choosing you. She's choosing relief. Relief from boredom, from loneliness, from the quiet spaces where she'd have to confront herself. And when intimacy becomes her shortcut, emotional clarity becomes optional. She isn't building anything. She's escaping something. From a psychological standpoint, early intimacy often signals low impulse control paired with high emotional projection. She mistakes intensity for alignment. She tells herself, it feels right, because she's chasing the feeling, not the person in front of her. And men fall for this illusion every day. They think it's chemistry. They think it's fate. But it's most often a cycle she's repeated without ever breaking it. Ask yourself, if she didn't require time to know you, what makes you think she'll require time to leave you? The real test isn't what happens on night one, it's what happens in the days after. Does she slow down and get curious about who you are? Or does she lean entirely on the intimacy to carry the connection? Patterns show themselves quickly if you don't let the excitement blind you. Instant intimacy feels flattering. But it's also a signal. She's operating emotionally, not intentionally. Number 6. She doesn't care how she's perceived, because external validation is her fuel. Confidence and validation seeking look similar at a distance, but up close, the difference is sharp. A confident woman is grounded. She knows who she is, and she doesn't need the world to clap every time she walks into a room. A validation-driven woman performs. Everything she does is calibrated for reaction, the outfit, the attitude, the energy she broadcasts. It's not expression. It's a signal. A silent request for attention. When a woman genuinely doesn't care what people think, her presence is calm, steady, self-contained. But when a woman claims she doesn't care while actively provoking attention, what she truly doesn't care about is integrity. She cares about the high, the momentary rush of being noticed, desired, approved. That emotional hit becomes a loop. Attention, validation, self-worth, attention again. This pattern is especially dangerous for men because at first it feels magnetic. You think she's bold, liberated, unfiltered. But behind that I don't care persona is a deeper truth. She needs the world's eyes to feel like she exists. And when a woman lives for the spotlight, one man will never be enough. Not because she's malicious, but because her sense of identity is built on external applause. She'll tell you she's just being herself. But watch closely. She's only herself when someone is watching. And here's the truth bomb. A woman who performs for the crowd will never belong to one man. If her confidence is a performance, her loyalty will be too. Number 7. She uses revealing clothing and provocative social media as a signal, not a style. A woman's wardrobe and her online presence are not just aesthetics. They're communication. They reveal whether she sees herself as a committed partner or as a product on the marketplace. When a woman dresses provocatively only in certain contexts, nights out, events with heavy male attention, girls' trips, she's signaling something very specific. I still want to be chosen. This isn't about fashion. It's about identity. A woman grounded in her worth doesn't need to broadcast availability. But a woman who relies on external validation uses clothing as a form of marketplace positioning. She wants eyes on her not because she's confident, but because she's competing. Competing with other women, competing for attention, competing for relevance. And then there's the digital version of the same behavior, provocative photos, carefully curated poses, every angle selected to maximize desire. It's not random, it's branding, and it becomes even more revealing when she consistently cuts you out of the frame. When her social world is built to look single, it's because she wants the world to treat her that way. I've seen this play out too many times. A man dates a woman who posts seductive photos, and when he asks about it, she says it's just for fun, just confidence, or just business. But the truth is simpler. You cannot claim exclusivity while projecting availability. One intention cancels out the other. Here's the truth bomb. If her online world doesn't include you, you're not part of the life she's building. A woman who markets herself to the crowd isn't preparing to commit. She's preparing to keep her options open. Number 8. She flirts in front of you, or hunts for attention in subtle ways. A woman's loyalty isn't measured when you're alone with her. It's measured when other men are in the room. And when she lights up around male attention, even in your presence, you're not witnessing friendliness, you're witnessing testing. She wants to know how much you'll tolerate, how far she can push the boundary without losing you, and how tightly she can hold control in the dynamic. There are 2 kinds of flirting you'll see. The first is obvious, touching, leaning in, laughing too loudly at another man's jokes. The second is more dangerous because it's quiet. Covert attention-seeking looks like subtle eye contact, repositioning her body to stay in a man's line of sight. Soft smiles, hair touches, the accidental glance that lasts 1 second too long. She's not speaking, but she's signaling. And she knows exactly what she's doing. These micro-behaviors reveal a truth she won't say out loud. She needs the reassurance that other men still want her. And when validation becomes currency, no amount of commitment from you will ever feel like enough for her. She'll always keep the door cracked for outside attention because she's addicted to the feeling of being desired by everyone, not chosen by one. You need to understand this. Women don't test boundaries because they want you to get jealous. They test boundaries because they want to measure your tolerance. A man who accepts disrespect teaches her how to treat him. Here's the truth bomb. A woman who needs every man's eyes isn't ready to look at just one. If she flirts in front of you, she's not building a relationship. She's maintaining an audience. Number 9. She guards her phone like it contains a second life, because it does. A woman's phone doesn't just hold messages. It holds patterns, habits, secrets, and the version of herself she doesn't want you to meet. When she becomes hyper-protective over it, angling the screen away, flipping it face down, panicking at notifications, keeping passwords tighter than emotional intimacy, you're not observing healthy privacy. You're observing digital distance, a wall she built long before you arrived. Transparency doesn't mean handing over passwords. It means her behavior aligns with someone who has nothing to hide. But secrecy is the quiet signal of parallel lives. The conversations she deletes, the people she doesn't want you to know exist, the attention she collects when you're not looking. It all starts in the digital shadows. You've felt this before. That subtle pull in your gut telling you something is off. She's smiling. She's present. But her eyes flick to the phone at the wrong moment. Her energy shifts when a message comes in. She steps outside, just for a second. You can't prove anything. And that's exactly why the feeling haunts you. Your intuition isn't guessing. It's recognizing patterns your mind hasn't articulated yet. A woman who hides her phone isn't protecting her privacy. She's protecting her options. Here's the truth bomb. When a woman protects her phone more than the relationship is already over. Digital secrecy is never random. It's intentional, calculated, and always a reflection of emotional dishonesty. When you step back and look at all 9 signs, what becomes clear is this. No single behavior defines a woman, but her patterns do. A revealing outfit doesn't make her promiscuous. A guarded phone doesn't guarantee betrayal. A fast connection doesn't automatically signal instability. But when these behaviors stack, repeat, and echo across different moments, that's when you're no longer dealing with coincidence. You're dealing with a blueprint. Men lose themselves not because they meet the wrong women, but because they refuse to see the truth in front of them. They hope she'll change. They hope her past won't repeat. They hope they'll be the exception. But hope is not a strategy, and it's not protection. A mature man doesn't fear a woman with history. He fears a woman who hasn't learned from it. A woman who is still driven by impulse, still chasing attention, still guarding parts of her life she doesn't want examined. A woman whose patterns speak louder than her promises. So here's what you must remember. Don't look for perfection. Look for consistency. Consistency reveals self-awareness. Consistency reveals maturity. And most importantly, consistency reveals whether a woman is ready for something real or simply repeating the same story with a new face. If you want sharper instincts, stronger boundaries, and a level of self-respect no woman can manipulate, then subscribe now. Stay smart, stay grounded, and choose better. Because the more you honor your value, the harder it becomes for anyone to take advantage of it.